This show is part of the Transpodcaster Visibility Initiative.
Ooh, Michael Keaton, 89 Batman, yay! And it's like, really? We gotta take
It is
that?
amazing what we will forgive when nostalgia is being scratched.
And that's why I think it's so funny, because like with Hogwarts Legacy, it's also
Mhm.
a Warner Brothers product. The Flash, owned by DC, and now Warner
Mhm.
Brothers. And it's interesting because like my friends either are 100% against the Flash, but don't understand why it's important they don't play Hogwarts level Magician Boys new game, or they'll be against the game but still see the Flash, and it's like I'm not understanding it. Don't you know you're contradicting
And that
yourself here?
it's interesting where you draw that line arbitrarily. Like, I am outraged by this, but this very similar thing with money going to the same people.
But yeah, to me, it's like you're funding them either way.
She said while drinking from her Wonder Woman coffee mug. Calavera Candy, artist, saucier, actress, gamer, but officially makeup artist. That's what pays the bills, barely.
Hey, well, that works, and you do such lovely makeup. Me,
Why,
I'm
thank
relying on my blue purplish light, the joys of being colorblind. But yeah, and for those new listening or haven't listened to the show before, I am Sasha Constantine Monroe, aka Sasha, the Princess of Darkness, the first and thus far only transpan horror hostess located out of good old Pennsylvania. But anyways, today what brings Miss Candy on is that we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. Now, neither of us are sports heads, as far as I know. You might enjoy sport. Okay, my boyfriend only recently has been teaching me it, so I have a vague understanding. But I like his big goofy grin when he's watching it, so it kind of has
Sure,
its
I
own
can
rewards.
enjoy a Super Bowl party
Yes.
without knowing shit about the game. Like, did you say snacks and beer? Hey, I'm there.
Yep. Yep. But no, I enjoy his silly little grin, so I've been getting into more sports, but it's more of a passing interest, so I can watch him cheese like a 5-year-old. So
Mhm.
it's worth it. But when it comes to Super Bowl, like commercials are a big deal, and so is the halftime show.
Right.
Did you have a chance to watch the halftime show?
Yes, I did. I was, I mean, I was there. I watched it live with the rest of the country, and yeah, I liked it.
You liked it? Okay. Because there's a
I
lot of
mean, it's
people
not as
up in
good as last
arms.
year's, but that's a high fucking bar.
Yeah. There's a lot of people up in arms, most of them cishet males. Big surprise.
Shocked.
Oh my goodness, she looked pregnant. And I'm just like, okay. She was or is, as far as I know. I'm not up on media details. And it was a horrible performance, just horrible. And I'm sitting there like, could you be suspended midair while pregnant and doing all these dance moves? Because I would love to see it happen, you know. There are a lot of people who's like, well, I don't understand why I'm being called sexist and misogynistic for not enjoying it. And it's like, I'm sorry, I don't think Lawrence Welk is going to do the Super Bowl again anytime soon.
Yeah, what do you want? That's the question. Like,
Exactly. They want what's his name? The guy who used to do the Monday Night Football like song back again. Oh, who was it? Ah, it's on the tip of my tongue because he was like number two out of the family because there's three of them now. And the father originally sang "There's a Tear in My Beer." Ah, it's on the tip of my tongue. I don't follow country music, but I guess they're supposing that he's going to show back up, or maybe we'll get Travis Tritt. Or
okay.
maybe that comedian from the 70s who's long since dead that's been clearly gay this whole time and nobody's really realized it. What
Which
was his
one?
name? Paul something or other?
All
Paul
in.
Lynde! You know who I mean, right? Or am I just
Yeah.
way too old?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
Templeton, Charlotte's Web.
Hey, come on. He had a Halloween special, and that was the bomb because it had
Mhm.
Kiss. And
Yes,
it was the
indeed.
70s. Come on.
It was.
Witchy Poo and the original Wicked Witch of the West.
That's right. Yes, the diet hot dog with all the meat scooped out. A Halloweeny.
Yes. And he would know a thing or two about weenies.
I'm
But
about to have a cat in my camera.
but yeah, so you enjoyed it and thought it was generally
I
good.
thought it was good. I mean, Rihanna is talented. I thought she was pregnant, or was
I think
she
she
recent?
was. I've had to watch it a couple of times because I'm sitting here trying to see it from different angles,
Mm-hmm.
and I get why the wardrobe choices were they were, because if
Right,
she is
right.
pregnant, and depending on the
Oh,
camera angle they got, they weren't really going to be able to tell.
still hearing some of that baby weight, and hey, if anyone has earned the right to be vain, it's her.
Yeah, exactly. Lovely lady, talented,
Yeah, there was
wonderful.
good performance. I liked her performing on a Smash Brothers stage. I thought it was perfectly serviceable.
Kind of reminded me of Tron a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely.
Then there was another movie recently that had weird little platforms like that. I can't think of what it was. It's on the tip of my tongue. It'll occur to me long after the show's over. You'll get a message.
Holland.
Yep. But no, I enjoyed it. I don't get what the outcry is. But of course, having
I
watched the Grammys.
apologize. I apologize. I might have a little jostling of the camera. I just gained a cat on my desk.
Okay. Well, cats need attention and love too. That's fine.
Hello, hello, Finn. You're looking well. Up, up.
There he is.
There it goes.
Hey, animals are like that. You're on a computer. I need attention.
That's right. That's right.
But no, it's kind of like the whole hubbub over the Grammys performance with Kim Petras and Sam Smith. The song Unholy.
I set that one out, I guess.
When you get a chance, check it out. But Kim Petras is a trans musician, lovely
Mhm.
woman, beautiful. Sam's gay, and they're singing a song about adultery. But it's interesting because the person that's interacting with them in the song is a married man, and he can't keep his business clean and things of that
Mhm.
nature. And of course, the Christian fundamentalists are all rabble, rabble, rabble. This is satanic.
No,
Rabble, rabble. You know. And it cracks me up because it's like you're not really seeing the analogy of the song and who's singing it. You're just seeing their performance and reading the lyrics of the song and misunderstanding the purpose of it.
right,
Because many people, like myself, have been in relationships like that until we discovered who we are, found the right partner, you know?
right.
And it's damaging, it's horrible, but it's something that happens, and it's beautiful that somebody can go on somewhere like the Grammys and sing a song about it, and
Sure.
yeah, everybody's, and I'm like, I just don't get it. What the hell, you know? But
I mean,
it's a side note.
making conservative fundamentalists pissed off is like shooting fish in a barrel. It takes
Oh,
nothing.
I'm sorry, I don't think Tom Jones is doing the Grammys or
Oh, they
the
wouldn't like
Super Bowl.
too sexual, too sexual. Women throw their panties at him. They
Yeah.
wouldn't like that.
What's Snoop, pussycat? See, you got the cat right there.
Yep. Just gonna clean your balls on camera like that. All right.
That's fine, whatever. You know, first place this gets posted is OnlyFans anyway, so we got some pussy licking
perfect.
itself.
You boys want to see my pussy? Cats.
I can put that in the tags. I'll get a couple more views that way. But anyways, you know, the big thing that for people like us who aren't big into sports when it comes to Super Bowl, the big thing is commercials, especially movie trailers. Movie trailers are a big deal. Granted, we've already seen some of these trailers already. I did see the 65. I don't know what the official title is. Is it 65 or 65 million years?
65 million, I think. I'm not positive. I mean, dinosaurs.
Okay. Yeah. Time travel and dinosaurs. Well, the trailer was interesting because to me, having seen the original Alien trailer from back in the day with the loud strobing siren the
Right.
whole way through it, the trailer that was on the Super Bowl was very evocative of that. It was very,
Sure.
I kind of like the concept, but to me, it kind of feels like you guys have spoiled your big twist here, right from the get-go. Yeah, they're stuck 65 million years in the past. Like, hell, you could have lied to me and told me this was Turok Dinosaur Hunter, the movie. I still would have been
Yeah.
scared,
I
a little
feel
bit reticent that we're going the time travel route instead of the whole Native American culture and everything else, which would have been beautiful, but
I almost feel like along the lines of like going back to movie rentals, like, yeah, okay, you blow the reveal in the title. Yeah,
yeah.
well, if you're going to watch a sci-fi dinosaur movie, you're not that picky.
I think it's interesting because it also kind of reminds me of a bigger
But I'm
budget.
not crapping on sci-fi dinosaur movies at all.
No,
I'm all in. I want to watch it too.
but Sound of Thunder, when that came out
Yeah.
as a movie, and a lot of people don't realize there was like actual theatrical trailers for it before it got canned, and then we got a very bare bones home video release with, I want to say, already dated CGI graphics
Right,
in the
right.
film.
Didn't we get a Game Boy Advance game too, like well into the DS era?
I think so. I'm not mistaken. It's possible. There might even be a prototype floating out there for something else too, because
Mhm.
hell, there was a Mean Girls DS game, and that completely blew my mind.
Got released or something. I know of it. I've never. Well,
There,
it's one of those like lost media that's there isn't one in the wild situations, right?
well, no, somebody recently did find a prototype,
Oh,
which,
really?
yeah, so it's available for download, and you can play it, emulate it, and throw on the
But
ski
it's
mask, as my friend
2004
says.
DS games, so it's all mini games, I'm assuming.
I'm thinking, yeah. I've seen a few people do reviews, and it's like, mini games. If it ain't Pokemon Stadium, little sushi eating mini game, I ain't interested.
I like the one from the Mario 64 DS remake where you move the bombs into the proper colored
Okay,
corral. Although
you're
now
talking about
I
like
think
the
it's kind of a pro segregation game, isn't it? Oh,
yeah, just a little bit.
I take it back. I don't like that game anymore.
I just enjoyed making Lickitung eat all the wasabi and then run around all completely mad because it's super hot. It's a fun game, but
Sure.
anyways, yeah, like 65 million to me. I'm like dinosaurs, action, sci-fi, Adam
Oh yeah,
Driver.
it'll be fun. I will probably not see it in theaters, but when it comes to Hulu or Netflix or what the fuck ever, of course I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch it. It's Adam Driver. He's a pretty damn good actor, so we'll see. Hopefully the kid actor's decent too, so I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
yeah. I am not a hard sell when it comes to a dinosaur movie. So
Yeah, it's easy. I mean, heck, you could tell me you're remaking Valley of the Guanji, and I've already pre-bought tickets.
how about Carnosaur?
Oh, yes, please. Just I love my buddy Jim Wynorski to death. Love him to death. But don't have him do the remake, please. Please, dear God. If a Chopping Mall remake happens, and Killbots is not a Chopping Mall remake, if you follow him at all, even though Killbots was the original title for Chopping Mall, it's its own movie now. But I think that's his way of trying to say, don't screw with Chopping Mall. It's perfection. Leave it be. You can't
Right.
top my Killer Bots and Dick Smith and not Dick Smith. What's his name? Character actor Dick
Miller.
Dick Miller. Yeah, he's in it briefly, and of course the
I
Killer
have his
Robots.
autograph.
Oh yeah. Hey,
I met
that's like
him.
the best dick pic in the world to get. One of Dick
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Well, it was a bit of a conundrum because I remember going in there thinking, what am I going to have him sign? And ultimately, I went with Gremlins.
I don't know.
He's been
I've
everything. So it's like Terminator or Like, you're not thinking of anything else right now. Chopping Mall,
Night of the
Little Shop of
Creeps.
Horrors, Night of the Creeps. Yeah, so. But I went
That's
with
my favorite.
Gremlins.
That's my favorite one though. Night of the Creeps, because him working in the police impound. Yeah, I'm gonna need a
Brilliant.
flamethrower. Yeah, I'm gonna need the paperwork for that. Funny thing about that, I ain't got it. That is the
Love it.
greatest movie, hands down. I don't know what went wrong with The Predator. Like it had so many things going for it. I
Hmm.
think it was studio interference, but
Oh,
still, 100%.
so I love
But
it though. It's wonderful.
so, what
Comment
trailer do you want to talk about next?
of Super Bowl ads.
Yeah, Super Bowl trailers. Yep.
Um, uh, Dungeons and Dragons. Did
Oh,
you see that one?
yes, I have seen that one. I will say it disappoints me.
Oh,
Because when are we getting Drizzt? I don't know if you followed Dungeons and Dragons growing up much.
no, and I almost feel. Well, you go ahead first.
Well, Drizzt was a character that appeared in Forgotten Realms, and Gygax was cool with all kinds of creations with Drizzt. There's a whole series of novels involving this elfish character, and
Okay.
the fact that he has not gotten a movie yet, like it's just you can tell that The Witcher so wants to be Drizzt because essentially the story beats are very similar.
Okay.
And you got to figure this is a character that's been boiling around since like the late 70s to early 80s. And the fandom is just so ravenous for it. And we got that, what, first Dungeons and Dragons movie, early 2000s.
Yeah, 2000, the one with Jeremy Irons.
Yeah. And then
You've
a
seen.
sequel to it that was direct to video, just as bad.
And I almost feel like I have the upper hand in this situation because I'm not a D&D player. Like, I have played it. It's been over 20 years
Mhm.
easily. Um, so because I can go into it with no expectations, I'm easy to impress with a movie like that. It's like I know what a beholder is. That's pretty much the end of it. That covers
And you
everything
gotta
I
know
know.
what an owlbear is.
Oh, I know.
An owlbear?
Making that.
Basically, you take an owl and you take a bear, add a lot of alcohol, they have a little fun. The outcome is an owlbear.
It's a very creative name.
But anyway, yeah, like they had like a shapeshifter in the movie that turns into one of those in one of the other trailers for it. And I'm like, oh, cool. I get to see an owlbear. Awesome. I'll go see it for that, especially Gelatinous Cube. You always got me at Gelatinous Cube, hands down. And Chris Pine's a gorgeous man. I've met
That
him
is
a couple times because he likes to show up anytime Joe Carnahan goes to the Maryland Film Festival. And
Mhm.
it was funny because I want to say about 6 or 7 years back, he was in this movie known as Stretch that Joe Carnahan directed, kind of like as a bad guy and a villain type character. Very small role for him.
Mhm.
But it was intriguing because he was there but trying to pretend not to be there. And I went to one of the local bars to help promo my buddy's movie, plus my web show, plus some things coming from like some small indie films that I know of locally. Um, and it was weird. So I'm handing out flyers with my information and the other stuff just to get people, hey, check out this stuff because this is local. This is playing later this week. This is a whole shot one at the time would have been a novel idea, but shot on a phone movie, a horror movie at that. Check this out. And it was funny because I kept seeing this guy kind of dressed up like the Unabomber in the old pictures of the Unabomber with the hoodie and the sunglasses on. And I kept coming back, and then it hit me. And I'm like, I know who you are. And of course, he takes off the glasses and he's like, do you now? And I was like, yeah. And I had mentioned that one really crappy, like sci fi viral infection movie that came out, like, I'd say a decade prior that he was in. It's kind of like
Mhm.
a travel film. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but it was on the top of my tongue. It was the first one I spit out. And he's like, yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. And he's like, of all my movies, that's the one you're going to pick. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Captain. I didn't want to dispel who you really were. And I have he signed my chest, and I'm just like,
Oh, that's beautiful.
I got to have whiskey with Captain Kirk, you know?
Love
And he
it.
signed my chest. Awesome. But anyway, my date was jealous at the time, but I think that's mostly because he wanted his chest signed, but whatever. Anyway, the hashtag tangent, as I've said before.
Right.
But it looks good just with Chris Pine. But being a fan of the gaming series, having grown up as an excuse to hang out with friends, eat pizza, and smoke some pot, it's really
Right.
not staying kind of true to some of the game stuff. And if anything, they have the potential for a great joke, and I hope they take advantage of it. But they should have a character early on that they introduce, and they kill within like the first 30 or 40 minutes, and
Sure.
they come back as a completely different character, same actor, but playing a completely different role, completely different character build, and I would have mad respect for that. Because that would feel like an actual game of Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, I'm sorry, your character died. Let's roll you up a new one. Well, I don't know if I want to be a druid this time. I want to be a thief.
Mhm.
But you're looking forward to seeing it. Like I said,
I think it looks fun. It looks like it was kind of like when they was it last 2 years ago when the Mortal Kombat movie came out.
yeah.
One like my brother-in-law and I watched it together, and he is a diehard MK super fan, whereas I know very little about it. I know it was the bloody game in the arcade that all the scary kids I didn't hang out with played. And so watching the movie, for me, it was like, this is a lot of fun. What's the story? I don't know.
Oh, there's a story?
Yes, and he was disappointed. And I'm like, what more did you want? You had a lot of blood, a lot of people getting their heads cut off, a lot of I
Yeah.
thought it was fun. And that's
I,
how I feel about the new D&D movie. Like I have an unfair advantage by not being a fan that I have not neither high nor low expectations from it. To me, it's like, hey, wizards and elf chicks, okay,
well,
I'll
for
watch
me,
them.
it's like I enjoy crap movies. I have sat through every one of Uwe Boll's films. I think I
Mhm.
can manage with this. I'm actually looking forward to Uwe's latest film, and I'm like, ooh, a cop thriller. How can he screw this up? Let's find out.
He'll find a way.
But
Is it
he's a
based on
friend
a
on
game?
Instagram and Facebook, and I just find it intriguing that he follows me. And even though I'll cut jokes at his films, I'll even say I don't want to fight him, but
I feel like he's used to getting so much shit that if you have just sort of a I watched it, little dumb, but that's got to be an honor in his book.
yeah, I've watched a good many of them. Like some of his stuff that's off topic, like that's not a video game movie, like Seed, for example. Great film.
Mhm.
He's one of the few German directors to give kind of a German standpoint to concentration camps in a documentary. And it's
Oh, really?
actually a good film. And I was kind of shocked. Maybe I just looked out and found the right dub and the right translation of it, but it came out brilliant. So he does have talent. It's just, don't give him a video game movie and let him take advantage of German tax code. So, but no, the
I'm
that movie looks
losing
like it'll be
power, so
fun.
I'm gonna reposition myself so I can
There you
plug
go.
in.
I just like the fact that the inverted crucifix is there in the corner. We need to keep that.
Oh, okay, yeah, well,
Something to angry up the blood. But no, it looks like it'll be a good movie. I enjoyed Mortal Kombat as well. I'm old enough to have seen the original Mortal Kombat in
I remember
theaters.
that. I didn't see it in theaters, but I did see it and chalk it up to being 12, but I liked it when I eventually did see it.
Yeah, it was back when what's his name could still make good movies. What is his name? Did all the Resident Evil films? Need I say more? Paul S. Anderson.
Yes, yes.
Though I will say, Event Horizon still one of his better pictures.
I like it.
Well, you've read up on the theory that how Pandorum is an indirect sequel. 2 Event
I have,
Horizon.
no, I
Oh,
haven't.
watch those 2 together, and they do kind of pair with each other. So if you get a chance, yeah, check that out. It's a weird sci-fi horror flick. I'm not going to spoil
Okay.
it for you. But it has Dennis Quaid in it, and Dennis Quaid's role is brilliant. Yeah, especially when you figure out everything that's going on, and you're like, oh crap.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good film. But anyways, no, I'm looking forward to that as well. In worst case scenario, I'm either going to laugh at it and have a good time because it's so inaccurate, or I'm going to be surprised and go, oh, Hasbro's actually been paying attention to the fans instead of screwing up game mechanics again. Golly gee, I'm surprised.
Does Hasbro own D&D?
Yes, Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast, who in turn owns Dungeons and Dragons. It used to be its own company. Previously, it was owned by Gygax, but after his passing, his family gave it to Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast got gobbled up by Hasbro. I always make the running gag of until all are fun. Speaking of, since we touched on D&D, another film that popped up in Super Bowl trailers was, I think, our second or third trailer for Rise of the Beasts, which is the new Transformers movie.
Yes. Yes.
And that, to me, I've always loved Transformers, was not a big fan of the Bay concept, but the Night reboots, I loved the Night reboot, which was Bumblebee. Bumblebee was the only one we got so far. Bumblebee was a solid movie.
That's what I've heard.
Good.
All the critics I trust all said it was pretty good.
It's very good. It's shorter than most of the movies. It's very heartwarming. There's not a lot of confusion. We got 80s style Transformers in it, which is a plus.
Okay. I have
With
only seen the first Transformers movie, the
okay,
Shia one, and I feel I sound like I don't like anything, but I was never a big Transformers fan either, so
I
I went
liked the
into that.
comics growing up because it had a different depiction of the characters, which was kind of interesting. Because usually, like Marvel stayed pretty in line with their toyetic lines, and
Okay.
so if the toys had a TV show, they kind of met in the middle somewhere. Whereas
Okay.
Transformers and G.I. Joe just did not. They're like, no, we're doing our own continuities and making it interesting. Larry Hama is God when it comes to G.I. Joe. But Transformers, it's intriguing because I think this trailer more or less spotlighted the character of Mirage. Now, what has me upset is that a Porsche 911 is not Mirage. Mirage is supposed to be one of those, what are they called? F-14? No, not F-14. The little, like, long race cars with the little point and the spoilers in the front and the spoilers in the back. I can't think of what they're called. I'm not a car person.
Yeah. What was that? Shit, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I only know it because of the video game.
But for me, Mirage is that character. The Porsche 911 is Jazz. And to me, it's like, why are we saying that the Bayverse is canon? Dear God, let's not say that the Bayverse is canon. Give me
I'm
an
not
accurate.
sure, but wasn't Bumblebee like a Volkswagen in the cartoons, but in the movie
Yes.
it was a Camaro or something?
Yes, and that's why I like the Bumblebee movie, because he's mostly a Volkswagen the whole way through that movie until the tail end where he adopts the Camaro form.
Okay.
Because the movie Bumblebee is in a separate continuity from the rest of the Transformers. And I'm like, why have Mirage be this when you could just have Jazz back as a Porsche 911? And then to me, it's like, granted, yes, Scatman Crothers had passed a long time ago, but I am quite sure we can find some sort of jazz talking guy from modern time to play that part. And that's my only concern. I want to see it.
The new Transformers, that's based on Beast Wars, right?
In part, because it's supposed to be a sequel to Bumblebee, so that's why we still have a lot of the 80s style Transformers.
Okay.
Which is why we got Optimus Prime in there as, you know, the over the engine cab tractor trailer. You've got Bumblebee back, but of course he's going to be a Camaro when he shows up. Mirage as a Porsche 911, but then you see scenes with, of course, the Maximal Optimus Primal. which, from what I understand, is supposed to be voiced by the guy from Hellboy. Did all the voiceovers for Fallout.
Ron Perlman.
Yes, he's going to be, Optimal or Optimus Primal.
Okay.
I know Cheetor's supposed to be in it. I think Air Razor's supposed to be in it.
And I know John DiMaggio is something in it.
Yes. But, I mean, my kid has gotten into Transformers because of me, and so when they want to go see it, I'll automatically go see it, and we'll either trash talk it and go, meh, or we'll go worthy sequel to Bumblebee. Thank goodness we have, this movie now. I'm just hoping that if Megatron, the Beast Wars versions of Megatron, not like the Megatron of the standard universe shows up, it better be David K. I'm sorry. If I don't have David K's somber tones going, yes, I'm done. I will walk out of the theater.
Frank Welker Megatron?
Well, Frank Welker is G1 80 style Megatron. And the Megatron that's in Beast Wars wasn't born a Megatron. He adopted the name. But yeah, that Megatron that David K. Like when you watch the original Beast Wars cartoon, you'll totally understand what I mean, because he has some of the funnest lines. Oh, I like you, pussycat.
Periodically, because it was on early, if I recall, and I think there was either something else on I liked more, or I just didn't like to get up that early, whatever the case. But I watched it a little when it was current, and I mean it was early 90s CGI, so I was just blown away by the animation.
Yeah, and it was from the same people who brought us Reboot.
Okay, yeah.
Mainframe Entertainment.
That's it, yes. The money for nothing. Yes.
But no, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if you are, so.
I have no strong feelings towards Transformers.
So what's the next trailer you want to tackle here?
Before we get into the big one, what do you think of the Breaking Bad commercial?
Oh, commercial. I love that commercial. That commercial was done exceptionally well.
I thought that was adorable. It was like, God, wasn't it like 2014 they did a Super Bowl commercial with Bryan Cranston bringing back the Heisenberg character post-show? Like, man.
But I
almost feel like it was the last time the entire country was on board with just the same thing. That was like, because like Game of Thrones, the fans turned on it so abruptly and aggressively, but Breaking Bad fans never stopped being Breaking Bad fans.
No, and I'm surprised that Just Call Saul is still as popular as it is.
Right, and that's done now, unless I'm mistaken. I'm not caught up because
he's got another role coming up, so he's going to be playing something else here soon. And kudos to him, kind of being a breakout actor. So
sure.
For me, I would say, because you mentioned a few of the ones that I particularly enjoyed, like the John Travolta commercial. That was a nice Grease. I mean, come on, you can't go wrong with Grease. And then of course, what was it? Will Ferrell. Just because of the Stranger Things nod, I had to go okay. But I'm gonna be honest with you, from like the 2 or 3 different commercials I saw regarding like Pepsi and am I telling the truth or am I just acting? To me, that's going to get kind of wear thin after a while. It's like
my partner is not a Ben Stiller fan, and I'm like, oh, come on. Mystery Men is one of the most underrated comedies.
See, I remember that one. Zoolander had its moments.
Yeah, Zoolander's good. I guess I just need those two, really.
Mystery Men, I mean, you can sell Mystery Men to me all day. I love that movie.
Or Heat Vision and Jack. That was a Ben Stiller project.
I'm still disappointed because, like, I grew up with In Living Color growing up, like, early days. And it's forever disappointed me that Jim Carrey is an actor and there has not been a Fire Marshal Bill movie. Or some sort of commercial starring Fire Marshal Bill.
Seems like whoever owns the rights to that character is sitting on it, because come on. You guys love tickling 90s nostalgia at this point. What's stopping you?
Well, one of the biggest gags I've had for the longest time that I tell people frequently, I'm like, if I had enough money, I would sit down with John Cherry. We would come up with a script for Son of Ernest P. Worrell.
It's interesting you bring that up because we were just talking, a friend and I were talking about just those characters who are forever tied to that actor. And Ernest was one of them. Like no one else has put on the hats. Like no one has done a straight to video CGI Ernest movie with like Jim Hanks doing a bad
Oh no, see, my
Barney
take would be a little
impression.
bit interesting. So the son of Ernest, whose also name is Ernest, would
Obvious.
be a janitor working at like a place that has like low grade, low tier professional wrestling. And so of course he's trying to clean the stage or something, gets accidentally thrown into a fight. Through much madcaps and hilarity, he winds up being rather good at wrestling. And my ideal casting for said Ernest Jr. would be none other than John Cena. Because if you look at him
Okay.
through a certain light and you threw on the jean vest and he's a good comedic actor, I bet we
He's
get the right acting coach. We get the right acting coach, he'd be spot on for
Back it
Ernest.
up.
I'd watch that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Same way with like I mean he's still with us, but like is there gonna be another Pee Wee when Paul Rubens passes?
No, you can't really replace it.
Right, right. Will someone else ever throw on the brown suit and be Mr. Bean?
I hope that never happens. Dear
And
God.
that's how I feel about Ernest, where it's like it almost feels like there is no way whoever owns the rights to Ernest hasn't said, "Hey, I'm gonna pitch this and see if someone will pay for it." Like it almost feels like his estate. I don't know if Jim Varney was ever married, but whoever owns the rights to that character is like, no, let's not do anything else with him.
Well, John Cherry is the one who owns the rights to the character because he created it with Jim Varney.
Okay,
And the thing of it is that I mad respect for, John Cherry, because John Cherry won't do anything with it unless there is a good and appropriate idea in the spirit of the character. And
gotcha.
he would be all about it. But he's like, until that script comes
Which is
along,
so funny because that character was invented to shill
ice
Taco
cream.
John and Mountain Dew, or not Mountain Dew, Mellow Yellow.
Mm-hmm. And theme park tickets and ice cream
Yeah.
and yep. But they wanted to maintain true to the character, and ever since then, like John Cherry's gotten offers, and he's like, no, no, no. Mad respect because the guy could be rolling in dough, and he's like, no.
Good
So
for him.
gotta love that. But again, hashtag tangent. But like one of the other commercials I really dug, of course, was the Clueless one because Reese Witherspoon.
Well, she looks great.
Yeah, yeah. Watching her in that one shark movie does not help the Clueless commercial at all because she's awful in that shark movie.
Right.
It's horrible. It's like basically deals with like something happening and the little like weird like hut of a place that her and her husband are vacationing gets swept into the ocean and they're slowly attacked by sharks. And it's not good at all. But no, she was brilliant in this. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
she's barely aged. You watch that movie, however, you're like, oh my God, she has aged. Yeah. So I'm just curious what was involved to make that happen.
Was there a little digital editing perhaps? Yeah.
But
No
no, looks
judgments.
great. I just like the whole line of, oh, they have a sale on eye cream. I don't need it.
Do you remember the commercial with Paul Stanley and Joan Jett and Ozzy?
No.
No, that's the thing. I don't remember what the hell they were advertising, but I just remember, hey, it's the guy from Kiss. Hey, it's Joan Jett. Hey, it's Ozzy.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you what they were advertising.
It's hard to say. Like, heck, that M&M commercials was strange with the candy covered clams or whatever they were.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It's like a weird choice.
Cheating and looking it up.
But I just don't feel like the commercials, except for like the few that we've touched on, have been on par with anything. You know, like we've
No,
seen in
nothing
past
is really
years.
like
Like there have
I
been
don't know. I
oh,
almost
and
feel like
all the Jesus commercials, those have cracked me up. Like, wait, how much in ad revenue did they pay for this? Because if I recall, ad spots for the Super Bowl are a lot of money.
mhm.
I'm like, did they get a discount? It's for Jesus.
Yeah, what product are you advertising exactly? Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus. You gotta say it with the emphasis at the end.
Jesus.
Jesus.
Oh,
Sorry, I've been on a Squidbillies kick, and that minister's voice sticks in the back of my head. Jesus.
oh God.
Oh God, appropriately.
Yes. I think of what was that the other Adult Swim show, Moral Oral, with "Okay, Jesus, I'll smoke the crack."
Exactly. I just was like, we have Super Bowl ads for this now? Wow,
Yeah,
the
like
church is.
oh wow, like how daring! Wow, now I finally heard of Jesus.
I guess they ain't filling them pews as they used to.
God, thanks Satan for that.
Oh hell. But no, it just cracked me up seeing that. And then like I was talking to you, I love that Blue Moon commercial. Like that was
Oh
just
yeah, that
awesome.
was cute. That was cute.
It just reminded me of like the old Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck skits. It's duck
Duck
season,
season,
rabbit season,
rabbit
duck
season.
season. Except somebody shows up and goes, no, Blue Moon. I'm like, that's cute. You know,
Given the choice between Miller, Coors, and Blue Moon, I'll take a Blue Moon any day.
but yeah, like I just miss some of the like older funny ones that we've gotten in the past. And
It almost feels, and maybe I'm wrong, like completely off base, because they've always had like the current stars, but it almost feels like all the commercials are just here's a celebrity playing themselves hawking our product.
yeah,
They're not trying, yeah, like because I mean, back in the '80s they had fucking Michael J. Fox, but he's not playing Michael J. Fox. He's not playing Marty. He's like
yeah.
just no, this is just the cool guy, and he needs to go get a Diet Coke for this girl across the hall. Like,
Paul Rudd shilling Super Nintendos
right. So
out
it
of
almost
Contraband
feels
and
like
Drive-In, no less.
what is this commercial for exactly? It's for Pepsi, and Ben Stiller he's Ben Stiller. Drink
Well,
Pepsi. Ben
that's the
Stiller.
thing, like that cracks me up. Like, with the whole Kevin Hart lately being in a lot of things, he's a huge
Mhm.
problematic actor, and it just shocks me. I'm like,
Right.
is this the person you want to pick for your role? Is Kevin
Yeah,
Hart?
really.
And for him to be on that gambling commercial, because I think that was the one that I saw with him on it, and I'm in a moral quandary if I'm going to see the Borderlands movie or not. I'm like, it's
Mhm.
Borderlands, but Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
It's got Jamie Lee Curtis, but it's directed by Eli Roth. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, but it's Borderlands. Yeah, Jack Black. Come on, it's like,
Yeah. I mean,
it's like
Jack Black will show
you're
up.
twisting me here. I don't know what to do. It's like I'm
I've run into
tempted,
that.
but
I think we all have. But yeah.
it's like I'm tempted, but only if you kill like Kevin Hart's Roland off in like 5 minutes. Also, I want to see how you're going to make him bigger than what he really is.
Mhm.
There's only so much forced perspective and milk crates can do. But anyways, we had mentioned that there is a bigger movie that we want to touch on. And I figure since you're the guest here on the Podcast of Darkness, I'll let you take the reins here for a couple seconds.
Okay, so bigger movie. I should just like pulled something completely
Yeah,
shitty and
like
ran
out of the
out of
envelope, put it
the like
against your head.
yeah.
Has a problematic actor. Da, 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 da.
The Flash, I assume we're talking about.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I can't really think of anything else that stood out. Like, it's the one thing that everybody wants to talk about.
Right. And it almost, well, you go ahead, you go first. What was your impression?
No. I figure I'm gonna let it in your court. You're the guest. And then
Okay.
I'll hop in.
I am not so up to date on the DC universe. Is that even what they're calling it anymore?
Yeah, because it's
Um,
getting rebooted by James Gunn here. So, oh, we forgot another trailer, but we'll talk with that later. We'll
okay.
use that as the palate cleanser after this train
Yeah.
wreck.
I saw Man of Steel when that came out, and it was not great. And then, of course, Batman v Superman, which was
Also not great.
terrible, and Suicide Squad, which was really, really bad. So I did not have high expectations for any of these. And then Wonder Woman was like, oh, okay, yeah, good
Yeah,
work there. And then I don't know. I didn't watch the Flash series. I had no strong opinion of his 3 seconds in Suicide Squad. I didn't even bother with Justice League, either version. So to me, it just felt like all I knew about this Flash movie, and not even knew, but all I had heard about it was the speculation from like 5 years ago from Movie Bob. Like, they're going to use this as an excuse to reboot the series. They're going to keep what works and pitch what doesn't.
exactly.
And it, he's been right before. When he said like, and they're gonna load a dump truck of money up to Michael Keaton's house and bring him back as Batman because that'll put butts in seats. And fuck, that's exactly what we're getting.
But it's basically, well, you've said it best. DC is getting ready to just say, we're done, we're rebooting everything. And
Yeah,
what
well,
better?
it's gonna be the whole concept of like, okay, people kind of like this Aquaman. He can stay. We'll get rid of everyone else.
Oh
Wonder
no,
Woman's
even
good.
Aquaman's not staying.
No, and oh, really? I thought people were into that.
No, Aquaman's not staying. Wonder Woman's not staying. It doesn't
Oh,
seem like anybody's staying. It's going to be a whole complete clean slate, which kind of shocks me because he is bringing back Viola Davis as what's her name? Oh, the
oh,
head of that government agency that runs Suicide Squad, as well as all of
yeah. I can only think of the actress's name.
Waller, Amanda Waller. She's
Amanda
coming back
Waller.
as Amanda
Yes.
Waller. I think he's also going to use that as a way to keep Peacemaker the show as part of the
Mhm.
continuity because that show, if you haven't watched it, is good. It's brilliant.
I liked him in. Well, I liked the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad.
Yes,
That
that
was.
one's good. But the TV show Peacemaker, following John Cena around, is
Mhm.
his very flawed superhero slash villain is interesting. Um, and I'm
Is
kind of
James
glad
Gunn
that's going to
involved in
stay.
the show?
Oh, the show's going to stay. But I think they're going to make tweaks because there was a lot of things hitting around like in a multiverse and everything else
Mhm.
in episodes of the show.
Mhm.
So that could be interesting. But they're going to use like the Flashpoint storyline for those not familiar. Basically, the Flash runs too fast, disrupts the timeline, is able to see different versions of the DC universe and things of that
Right.
nature.
Yeah, I remember from the comics. Like I was poor, so I couldn't read every comic, but when they showed up at the library, I would read them. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was around for that. So
But it's a good way to clean house and then see
Mhm.
what people still want, and then you can just do what.
There's yet again DC doing what Marvel recently did.
Yeah, but on top of that, they can do things like they can still make a sequel to that recent Batman movie that they did, but then they just brand it as Elseworlds.
Yeah, which is, I mean, weren't they already doing that? Because like,
Yes.
yeah,
Same way with
okay,
like the Joker movie and its upcoming sequel, unfortunately. Um, that's going to be Elseworlds as well.
okay,
Because they're bringing in what's that? Lady Gaga is going to play Harley Quinn in the follow-up to
that's right.
Joker.
Yeah,
And it's supposed to be a musical, and I'm just sitting there like, is somebody pulling a Tobe Hooper here? Because it sounds like they're pulling a Tobe Hooper with Texas Chainsaw Part 2. It really does. Oh, you want me to make a sequel? I don't want to make a sequel, but if I have to make one and you're going to pay me, it's going to be the worst piece of crap
Really
I've ever seen.
Yeah,
We're talking
not
Gump
everyone,
and Co. levels of
not everyone is
bad.
Joe Dante.
But yeah, it's... And the thing is it seems like everybody's focus is on, of course, Michael Keaton, 89 Batman, Michael Keaton. Here's the thing a lot of people don't know. But the canceled Batgirl movie that's never going to see the light of day, which also had Brendan Fraser as the Firefly, also was supposed to be Michael Keaton Batman in that as well. And that's all been kind of scrapped and thrown out. And I'm like, this is an opportunity where DC could have scrapped The Flash, used that as your jumping off point for why everything's rebooting. Because Brendan Fraser's name is big and back up in there. Just pull a Deadpool. Yeah, we leaked some footage. Oh, it's not going to happen. Then all of a sudden next week you get an announcement that it's coming out.
Then wasn't he already in Doom Patrol?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you got to keep in mind that TV series aren't correlated with this, aren't correlated with that.
Right. Yeah,
there is some crossover because I think the TV series has done like Crisis of the Infinite Earths as well. Because they had the reporter from Batman 89 show up in that TV show.
Really?
Yeah, not Vicky Vale, but the other guy, the really smart alecky guy that followed. I don't know who he was supposed to be, but he had shown up. And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool, But the thing of it is hell, the only reason I paid attention to the TV shows is because they had the ultimate Constantine in it. Like the perfect embodiment of the Hellblazer, Matt Ryan. I'm glad to see that he still does voice work and other things. I'm just hoping that at some point somebody goes, James Gunn, Matt Ryan is Hellblazer. Let's make it happen. But I got a feeling that's not going to happen. But because everybody's like, oh, we need Keanu Reeves. But no. The Hellblazer is not a Yank, is not a surfer dude. No, he's a blonde. He's scruffy. Supposed to look like Sting. Matt Ryan. I'm sorry, gorgeous man. Like, the only reason I watched the DC TV shows was just on the hopes that I would get to see him pop up, and he did sporadically.
That was another one. I just did not watch much of it. I watched the first couple of episodes of Flash and Arrow, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm full. I don't need any more of this.
Watch the NBC run of Constantine, and then you gotta go, wow, why did NBC pull a Fox here and cancel this like before the first season was done? Because they were planning a crossover with Lucifer, because that was initially going to be the DC version of Lucifer. And it never happened. And it's like... oh, well. Such things.
Ultimately,
but, yeah.
I don't know. The trailer just felt like, yeah, this will be fun. Like, here's your problematic actor. Let's just push that out of our minds for a moment, because look, it's Michael Keaton. Huh?
Exactly. Michael Keaton, Batman. Oh my goodness.
Oh boy.
And to me, it's like, okay, I get that Ezra is, part of the trans community, being non-binary. So they, them pronouns, even I slip and I apologize. Hey, if I admit my imperfections, then that makes me a better person.
Exactly. You aware of.
Yes, I'm self-conscious. Oh no, Sasha's aware. But anyways, like, Ezra does not have a really good track record.
No, certainly not.
They've got kidnapping charges, domestic
my partner
abuse.
And I brushed up on it before I came on today. Like, so what all did they do? The
Yeah,
fuck didn't they do? That'd be a
most of it's
shorter
most
article.
of it's drugs and domestic abuse and terrible, terrible things to do to minors.
Yes, and a savior complex, and
Yeah, and to me, it's like we've already been down this road with several other actors within the same studio. I mean, look at the whole deal with what's her name from the Aquaman movie, and her and
oh,
Johnny Depp, Amber Heard.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, seriously, like Johnny Depp has been drugged through the mud, is now slowly getting some of his reputation back, and
Right.
Amber Heard is still working, and it's like. And then on top of that, now we have Ezra Miller, and they're clearly still working. And I kind of get where Warner Brothers is setting. They're like, yeah, let's kind of ignore the elephant in the room and
Mm-hmm.
look at Michael Keaton. But the elephant in the room is going to draw crowds too, because it kind of goes back to that aspect of art. Even bad press is still good press.
Exactly what you were saying earlier. Yeah, like it's but it sure has people talking.
It's going to make money. And like
Mm-hmm.
I said to you before, it's like the whole debacle. Like I have friends that won't go out and buy the transphobes new Brick Boy game, but will go out and
Mm-hmm.
see the Flash, or vice versa.
So like,
And it's like you're contradicting yourself. You should be no on either. I love it when
I
people
almost feel
go,
like it's weird where we can draw that line to ourselves and amongst our friends, where it's like, wait, what did they do? Oh, just a couple of assaults and some possibly pedophilic behavior. Like, wow, I can forgive that. Like, you shouldn't.
you shouldn't at all. It's not
Yeah, but
cool.
man's there. Like, yeah, I know.
And,
But
and and one of the things I think is great, like someone like me talking about it and saying, no, you shouldn't see the Flash. I'm of Ezra Miller's community. I am telling you not
Mhm,
to watch them
exactly.
because
Which,
they're not putting a positive, representation of us out there.
right, right. And this is like you said earlier with like, I'll go out there and steal it. It's like you're still drawing attention to it.
Even if you illegally pirate it and download it, somebody still went to see it to get that copy. It's
Right.
still getting into hands. Oh, well, I'll just wait until it's on HBO Max. I already pay for the monthly subscription. As do I for Last of Us, but doesn't mean I have to stream that.
Right, right. And they're gonna look at those numbers, and that's all Warner Brothers is gonna see. I
Because they're going
mean,
to be like,
that's
oh,
what they're
we can
doing
bring
right
Ezra
now.
Miller back, no problem. Oh, you guys want Michael Keaton? Well, because of Ezra Miller's character, we can give you Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton. Sounds like a plus. But is it?
Yeah. It's
It's
it's difficult. Like the old adage is so true. Like, this is why we can't have nice things.
yeah. And to me, it's kind of like the whole debate over like the whole Superman thing. I get that a whole generation grew up with the Superman from the current and soon to be canceled DCEU.
Hmm.
You know, I didn't grow up with that Superman.
No.
I grew up with, of course, Christopher Reeve's Superman,
Yeah.
and then after that,
Brandon.
complete crap show, but Dean Cain's Superman.
And speaking of problematic people,
And to me it's like we almost had Nicolas Cage Superman, so
I
you know
know that would have been awful, and I would have loved it.
until you've read some of the capes and some of the design choices, and you just got to go, ooh. Like, listen to Kevin Smith talk about being approached to script that movie, and
Did
then some of
you
the things
watch
they said
the
about Superman having a
documentary?
cape.
Yeah. Did you watch the documentary, The Death of Superman Lives?
Yes.
Ah, it's so good. So good.
I just love it because, like, Kevin Smith has got this joke about giant mechanical spiders because they won it in that Death of Superman movie. They didn't get it, and he's like, "So I'll go to see Wild Wild West, and what do I see?"
That son of a bitch, he got his spider.
And I'm just like, it just sounds like such a terrible thing at WB. And to me, I don't think WB understands where Marvel got their whole like cinematic universe concept from. They went out to make initially good movies that had some connective tissue to each other. And in fact, in the early days, and a lot of people don't remember this, but in the early days, each one of those films was put out by a different studio. Iron Man was Paramount.
Right. And Hulk was Universal.
Yes. And they were all going to meet up, share budgets, and then of course Disney's like pulling a Hasbro. We have to own it all. But if somebody took the reins, and James Gunn's a good writer, Grant, yes, there's been some hiccups with him, but when you get somebody from Trauma, you're gonna have some hiccups,
right?
Because James Gunn came from Trauma. It's kind of like everybody throwing a fit over the creator of Rick and Morty recently, something I discussed on previous podcasts. This is a person who's made it clear that I have been in abusive relationships. I have had a problematic relationship. Hell, every episode of Rick and Morty, if you were paying attention, but the end title card showed the slowly decline of their relationship, like them fighting with their spouse at the time. And then it ended kind of on a happy note because now you see them with their new partner. They're happy. They're complete. And, the creator of Rick and Morty was basically telling us, hey, Justin Roiland was telling us, hey, I'm not a good person. I'm trying to be better. And I'd rather have somebody say, hey, I'm not perfect. I admit that I've done things wrong, versus how with Ezra Miller and how they're just denying everything. It's almost like the Marilyn Manson debacle.
Oh, God.
Well, here's the thing with Manson. You got to remember, I kind of grew up with that music.
Me too.
I remember with a lot of the interviews and stuff that were done with Manson. Like, Manson made no bones about it. I am a toxic, horrible person.
Right.
He made that countlessly clear. If you're in my life, I'm going to abuse you. It's kind of like that old Native American story about the woman going outside in the middle of winter and gathering up sticks for firewood and comes across a snake that's frozen while she's picking up sticks. She goes into the hut, she puts the snake by the fire, she feeds it back to health, and at the very end the snake bites her, and the woman's like, why? I drug you in from the cold. And the snake's response is, bitch, I'm a snake.
Snake. Yeah.
I mean,
not that that's okay, but yeah. No,
yeah, it doesn't make it right, but at least somebody saying, hey, these are the problems up front.
Right.
Ezra Miller instead is denying the problems, and they're saying, adding more stigma to the mental health community by saying, well, I'm not in a good mental health, I have a substance use disorder. But that doesn't give you a warranty to be a shit person.
Right. They tried to blame COVID. It's like, you don't understand. I was locked down for a year. It's like, no, I think the entire planet understands.
I'm sitting there, I was like, locked down for a year. I'm not running out and kidnapping somebody and getting domestic abuse charges.
Yeah, that's
and not to mention all the other horrible crap that, they got into.
Right.
And it's not just, because a lot of people, it's an isolated incident. Maybe isolated in one area of the country, but there's charges in Iceland, Germany,
Hawaii, Germany. Yeah, they've been up to some stuff.
And it's not just one kid. And it's like, this is a problem,
Right.
This person needs help. Why are they in a movie?
This person has a god complex. Let's give them more of one.
Let's give them money so they can buy more drugs. But yeah, like, under normal circumstances, I would be mildly curious if it showed up on late night cable and I was channel surfing. But am I going to rush out and see it? No.
I almost feel this is kind of the same way I felt about like seeing Bryan Cranston as Heisenberg to shill for Kellogg's or whoever the fuck owned that pop chip commercial. Like, okay, because when he did El Camino, he said, "This is the last time I'm playing Heisenberg." You know, that was before Nabisco gave you another house. So, and it's almost like, when does it stop? When do we stop pandering and just move on from something? Like,
Well,
yeah, you know, Ezra Miller is troublesome, and they've been getting in trouble and saying horrible things. But hey, Michael Keaton's back. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. If you had done this 7 years ago, I would have been like, holy shit, Michael Keaton's playing Batman. But it's like, yeah, of course he is. It's a thing from the 80s. Of course you're bringing it back. That's all you do.
yeah, and it's like I tell people, like, nostalgia and fandoms does not oversee bad behavior. Yeah,
Mhm.
this might be your version of the character, but if they're crap, they're crap. You know.
Exactly.
And it's funny that you
And
brought up like Bryan Cranston because if we're going to be honest, he was one of the abusers to the guy who played Billy in Power Rangers. He was one of the people who harassed him for being gay and things of that nature.
was he? I
Yes,
knew
he
he was on
was.
the show. Like, I thought he just did voiceover. I didn't know he was
Mm-mm. He did
on
voiceover,
set.
but there was a lot of because there was a lot of extra parts and things available. So he would
Sure.
sometimes be there on the show itself, and he was one of the abusers that was mentioned. And it's like, wow. And it just
I
kind of gets
know.
derided now because, oh, well, that was then. It was okay. It never should have been okay then.
No, it was never okay. Wasn't he also in the Power Rangers reboot?
Yes, he played Zordon,
Okay, that's
but Hasbro owns that now too, and Hasbro's cleaning house and rebooting all of that
okay.
because
Huh.
until all are fun. I'm waiting for Hasbro versus Disney at some point because I know it's coming.
Oh, yeah,
Hasbro's going to try to eat Disney at some point, and that'll be an interesting spectacle to behold.
it's gonna be a wild one.
Hasbro becomes
Tom's gonna.
Unicron. Look at all the worlds it's destroyed thus far. Oh, but anyways,
So we're gonna get a Unicron versus Galactus. I gotcha.
I'd watch that. But no, we do at least have some good news. We are getting the final James Gunn movie, which is of course through the new Guardians of the Galaxy, which also had a new
Right.
trailer dump during the Super Bowl.
That's
Um,
right. It did.
and for me, I'm really looking forward to this film because not only is it the last of the James Gunn Marvel movies, before he
Hmm.
goes over and tries to clean house at DC, and dear God, it needs cleaned. Um, but a lot of the storylines from it that they have are ones that I grew up reading the comics as a kid because I was really big into Rocket Raccoon because before Rocket
Sure.
was part of the Guardians, he had his own separate comic series. So I already know a good bit of where they're drawing the plot line from, even though I don't think the Grand Evolutionary was ever involved with that storyline. Makes sense with the current MCU. But yeah, just the fact that they're going to delve into his origins and his initial lover, which is the Otter character they'd been advertising,
Hmm.
just seems like it'll be a great story beat. And it feels like an ending, but it also feels like a new beginning because in other parts of the franchise, they have shown potential other characters that could become part of the Guardians lineup.
Oh
Because
yeah, yeah.
for people who don't know, like Star-Lord was not the first set of Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'm hoping at some point we kind of get a more honest roster of them. I would love for them to keep Bradley Cooper as good old Rocket and Van Diesel as Groot, but I don't know how much longer both of them are going to stick around contract wise.
Right, right. Because when did the first one was 2014,
Mm-hmm.
2015?
Something
So
like
yeah,
that,
they
yeah.
they've been at it for almost a decade, and I this is gonna get me the side eye from some of my other nerdy peers, but like, these actors are allowed to just get tired of doing the same thing
Exactly.
forever.
And we have a multiverse we can play with.
So exactly, like Chris Hemsworth wants to play Thor forever, or why not? But Chris Evans is done being Cap. Like, yeah, let him. He did his time. He's good.
So he says he's done, but do you think he's done? It's kind of like how, what Robert Downey Jr. says he's done being Tony Stark. I hate to say it, there's already scripts floating out there where Iron Man, or at least a version of Iron Man, reappears.
Of course there are. And if Disney wants it bad enough, they will find a way to get him.
Yeah, because they can just throw all kinds of money from their coffers. They aren't hurting for it.
No.
I'm quite sure Robert Downey Jr. at some point is going to need something to pay off another mortgage or have a vacation home somewhere.
Something. Either, and eventually they'll get him. Like,
yeah, same way with Chris Evans. I mean, come on, he did quite well as Captain America. Though I would love, since now we've brought a whole multiverse into this, bring Chris Evans back
as well.
Huh?
Get a Human Torch.
Get him as older Human Torch.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Every time I say I think I'm done with superhero movies, they fucking get me again. And I said that, like, I think I'm finally bored with the MCU. Everything post Endgame has felt like, I'm not going to take credit. I think I read this on Twitter somewhere, but I can't remember who said it. But like, watching anything from the MCU after Endgame is like playing a side quest after you beat the game.
Right.
Like, and that's how it has felt to me anyway. But Fantastic Four is on the way, so God damn it, they're gonna get me back for another round, and then I'm gonna get hyped, and then I'm gonna watch the shows, and then it's gonna happen again.
Well, to me,
Marvel after the Avengers, and then Daredevil came out, and I'm like, all right, I'm back.
Well, see, to me, and this is where, like, I kind of stand now. They own almost all of their characters anew, aside from Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. They're at a point where they need to do a reboot.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to bring X-Men in, if they're going to try to put their own personal stamp on Spider-Man, they're going to have to refresh the line at some point.
Sure.
And that's going to cause fan derision, because they're going to be like, just watch the new stuff and be happy.
Exactly. And like I said about an actor just getting tired of playing the role, like, it's okay. Believe me, you are not going to be wanting for Batman in the future. Like, you don't like the current Batman? Give it a month. You'll have a new Batman.
Well, that's what I thought was so funny with Robert Pattinson. Everybody throwing a fit. Oh, he was in Twilight. I'm like, okay, did you all forget about 1989? Everybody referring to Michael Keaton's Batman as Mr. Mama's Batman?
Yes, exactly. And then after they fell in love with Michael Keaton, it was like, Val Kilmer, no way. Like, people don't know what they want. They only know what they don't want.
And I think that's perhaps one of the best takeaways from that newish RoboCop that came out, like, what was it, 2014, 2015?
Something like that, yeah.
Michael Keaton was in it, and Michael Keaton literally says in that movie, because they're debating on designs for how the RoboCop should look. And of course, they showed classic 80s design in one of the back screens. And he's like, the public doesn't know what they want. We're going to tell them what they want. And for Michael Keaton to deliver that line in retrospect, it's yet again a franchise pointing out a flaw that didn't show itself until later on, years ahead of time. Because, like I said, at the start of this, I don't know if it'll show up in my edit or not, but us talking about RoboCop 3 and them making fun of Splatterpunk before Splatterpunk became the torture porn it is now.
That's it, and I almost feel like that's the perfect ending point for this whole discussion. Is
yes,
we will give you what you want
after we've told you what that is.
Tell us what that is, because we've already decided.
Exactly. So if you've got anything to plug here at the end, by all means, feel free.
I don't know. follow me on Instagram for
Yes.
hot sauce
Yes.
and cartoons and lots of selfies.
Because Miss Candy here has some of the best like makeup and has some of the best artwork, like line and pin drawings that I have seen in a long time.
I am obsolete. I am a dinosaur amongst these just brilliant artists on Instagram because I still use pen and ink.
There's
So
nothing wrong with
I'm
that.
old. Now that I'm, how old am I? 70? Now that I'm 70, that's that's all I know.
I'm 44, so it's not far. We all age, my friend, but that's the trick. Are we going to be vinegar or are we going to
But
be
as long as
wine?
we can, yeah, but will we still fit in our Batgirl costumes in 20 years?
Oh, I'm going to
I
try.
like to.
I'm going to try.
I'm gonna
You might.
try. Sasha, thank you
'Cause
for having me on. It has been a pleasure talking commercials and
yes,
trailers.
it's nice to have you on and actually finally have a face to face. So as we say on
Yeah,
my show, unpleasant screams. And if you want to see more of these episodes, definitely support me on OnlyFans. Yes, it's more than porn these days. But new episodes are usually first premiered there. In unedited and raw format, so however long this will be, the full fury will be on there. Whereas YouTube gets very slimmed down edited versions unless I'm feeling lazy. But anyways, thank you for coming on and have a great evening. And as I say,
as
unpleasant
well.
screams.
Goodbye, Killer Shrews.